I have a lot more memories of Camp Echo. I went to Camp Echo every summer from fourth grade through high school. And you start in the friendship cabin, which is the youngest cabin, and then each year as you get older, you move to a different cabin. And then when I had outgrown the cabins, you go on trips. I got to go on a canoe trip in Wisconsin and a bike trip all the way around the edge of Michigan. And you think Michigan is flat. It is not. There are a lot of hills in Michigan. But that was a really great experience to do 300 miles in 2 weeks. I think 300 miles it was. But it was a really good experience. There's a lot of camaraderie that's built, you know. I think campers learn a lot about themselves at camp. You know, it's one of the first experiences, you know, kind of being independent and learning who you are and building confidence with your peers and having leaders, you know, camp counselors. But you make really good friends, and you're given an opportunity to really just be yourself, because you're taken out of your regular, you know, Evanston situation. You know, you're out in the woods, and you get to know yourself a little bit better. But the thing about Camp Echo is oftentimes the rest of the campers are from Evanston, so you can still hang out with the people. So you're going to miss camp, but you really do miss home and home cooking. And I remember after my canoe trip coming home with a duffel bag of very wet, smelly clothes. And, you know, you miss indoor showers and laundry and, you know, mom's cooking.
It was so anxiety producing the first time, and you just sort of hovered over your kid and you made sure every piece of clothing had their little name label in it, and we had every paper filled out, and we went a half an hour early to stand in line and make sure they got on the bus and make sure their stuff got on the bus and make sure they had their special pillow and the whole shebang. So by the time we got to Gwen and the third kid going off to Echo, we were like, okay, see ya. You know, and you could tell who the first-year parents were, and we would say, oh, it's going to be okay. And you'd send the kids off after the third child hops on the bus, say, okay, let's go have some donuts, you know. But it was a growing experience for parents, too, to let their kids go. And the Y is a place where you can trust your kids with the supervision there. And so I didn't worry about them when they were gone. I mean, I worried about the natural stuff, like picking up a poison ivy or something, but I didn't worry about what kind of experience they would have there, whether they'd be bullied, whether they'd be attended to, whether they'd get enough to eat, that stuff. I mean, they even had good manners things in the lodge for dinner. You know, if you put your elbows on the table, you had to kiss the moose or something like that. So I would get the stories secondhand, and even then there's a lot of family stories that are still flying around. Part of our own family history. So
I stayed at Camp Echo for a weekend with Project SOAR, and I was a mentor in Project SOAR with my good friend Kenny Smith, who is now 26 or 27 years old, and I had met him when he was in 4th grade. But we spent a weekend up there with the Project SOAR group, and I had a great time, and I'd like to go back as a kid to Camp Echo and enjoy it. But we did things together like play basketball, and because Kenny was one of the best basketball players in his age group, we tended to win because I was smart enough to feed Kenny. And we had a great time up there.
Did you do the ropes course?
I don't recall doing the ropes course, Gwen, but I believe we did horseback riding, and we did basketball, and we had the the big campfire at the end, and it was a weekend deal, not a week-long deal. So we were pretty limited on the time involved, but it was more to get away from Evanston and get together with the mentees from the program. I'm sure the kids, not all the kids had ever been to an overnight camp before, and this was a pretty different experience for them. And it's a great outdoor experience for kids to get out into the wild and sleep in a dormitory type cabin sort of situation, and dealing with a bunkmate above you or below you, and it's a great learning experience.
And it's hard to find a place where you have so many activities at your disposal within a quarter mile of each other, from sailing to water skiing to kayaking, all different arts and crafts. Horseback riding was mentioned, and there were swimming, I think, was another activity there.
Riflery.
Yeah.
They don't have
I wasn't
riflery
gonna,
anymore.
wasn't gonna mention that, but
You were good at it.
Archery and biking.
Yeah, riflery was voted out when I was on the board, so I joined the Project SOAR and got matched up with a mentee, and I was a little nervous about it because didn't know what to expect from the mentee, and I was planning in my mind answers to questions he might ask, and one of the questions I was anticipating was, would you buy something for me, like shoes or whatever? And I couldn't have been more wrong, because the first thing he asked was for me to come watch him play basketball. So that was easy and fun to do. And as I referred to before, he was a great basketball player and played all through college, and he's a great guy. And we have a lifelong relationship because of that. The Y needs to do more of the same. It can't lose the strengths it's had in its core programs of Child Care Center, ECHO, the men's residence, the health and fitness portion, youth and family. Those need to be developed, help them grow, and continue to be a broad part of the community. It's one of the things I've always liked about the Y is that the Y cuts across the entire community. Everybody in Evanston is involved in the Y in one shape or form. I mean, not every one person, but any group within Evanston can find something at the Y that'll please them, I believe. And I want that to grow and become a bigger part of Evanston.
Just hope they don't stray from their ideals. My favorite part of the Y is that no one can be denied membership because they can't pay for membership. Mm-hmm. And if that changed, we would all suffer, because the strength of the Y is its inclusivity. I really hope the Y doesn't lose their ideals. My favorite part of the Y is that no one is denied membership because they can't pay. And if that were to change, everyone would suffer, because the strength of the Y is its inclusivity and really offering programs for everyone in Evanston, all parts of the community.
One of the things when I was on the board that Ellen and I did together is we went to the resident holiday dinner, and we got to meet almost all the residents, and I was board chair at the time, so I made it a point to go around the room to try to meet everybody. And I was just so impressed at the familiar nature of it, how everybody was part of the Y family. And I saw 2 or 3 people just offer to help other people for various things. I remember one in particular, a guy needed a ride to the airport, and one of the residents was a cab driver, and he said he would just take him. And that just seemed sort of second nature to the residents at the Y. And I think the residents often are a largely misunderstood group at the Y, and they're part of the Y family. And I always enjoyed meeting them at the holiday dinner. Do you have any recollections of the holiday dinners?
Yeah, I remember going, enjoying them a lot. I think the residents really, it's home for them, and I think that's very special. There are very few places where one can live as part of a facility or a group that has this combination of friendship, camaraderie, and fitness. And being a nurse, this idea that they could use the facilities and stay well physically and spiritually is pretty unusual and pretty significant, I think.
Another thing I'd like to mention is the kids, my kids, our kids, learned some things at the Y that made them grow as human beings. For instance, Matt and Gwen were avid swimmers at the Y, and John Peters, I believe, was the coach you had last.
Taught me how to swim.
Yeah. And I saw John on the train recently, and we renewed friendship, and he was doing well. And but I always remember how he really took the kids under their wing and taught them how to swim. And Gwen went on to be a pretty good water polo player, and Matt became captain of the high school swim team, and the Y was part of that. In Abby's case, she played basketball at the high school and was the captain of the high school basketball team, and she played pickup basketball at the Y. And she continued that when she moved away for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in college, I would stop by and on my breaks and go and play with the guys in the pickup court. It was a lot of fun, and got to know everyone at the front desk.